could see it. That's awesome.
Screen record, huh?
Do it. Let's do it.
Oh, you got the whole thing, so it's all good. I get a
Let's,
copy from you.
all right, man. Cameron Barker, welcome to the show. I
What's
appreciate you.
up?
Appreciate you being here. Episode number one.
I appreciate you. This is cool.
Yeah, man. So, you and I, we went back to what 3 years ago? What was that? 3 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. Time's flying, but yeah, it's been a lot of years now.
Yeah, man. I remember. I linked up with Steven, which was crazy because I haven't talked to him since we were in high school together, and I saw him doing photography, and I was trying to get into the whole marketing space and everything, and here I am trying to be cool, trying to find me a photographer to help me out, and little did I know who he was working with, man. So he introduced me to you and came and worked with you for a while, and believe it or not, that's the reason why I know I told you this already, but that's the reason why I wanted you to be here in episode number one, man. Because believe it or not, uh, just that 1 week of being with you guys at IMG, it was truly it was inspiring, man. Just to see what you're doing with those guys, waking up, coming, doing the meditations, doing the workouts and everything. So it was truly an experience for me that actually pushed me to work a lot harder and do the things that we're doing now. So I want to say thank
Man, I
you.
appreciate that. Man, those are the good old days. That was like pre-COVID, right? We would go
Yeah.
up to the office and we would hit the gym first because that gym was right there. Then
Yep.
the way our office was set up, we had all those studio suites and we had showers in the office. They used to be like townhomes like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
would transition, then do the guided meditation, and then work. Like we would literally spend over 2 hours on personal development and then get to work. So it just really shows you the priority of the organization, you know.
Yeah, man, and I think that's what I loved the most about it was, you know, I was in the military for 6 years, and there was none of that really. I mean, there was, here and there personal development, but it was tailored specifically to what can you develop within yourself to be better for the military, right? And
Right.
when I got out, I went and did a little desk job for 2 weeks and then quit because an 18-year-old kid wanted to come and yell at me for some crazy things, and so I'm thinking, like, what do I do with my life? And I saw that social media marketing and the whole digital space was starting to blow up, and I tried to
Sure.
jump on it, man. And coming and working with you guys, I was expecting to come in and jump right to work, but no, we're going to the gym, we're going to meditate, we're gonna work on ourselves, and even coming out of that, I utilize that now with our business and our staff. Like, they come in, they see a new message on the board, an inspiring message. They see the books up. We talk about trying to help grow them as entrepreneurs themselves instead of sticking with the cleaning job for the rest of their lives. So I
That's
yeah,
awesome,
man,
man. I love that. This is
absolutely.
so cool.
So I mean, we kind of jumped in a little bit about the marketing space, with you guys doing all that. But I guess, what is it that got you to get into that space? Was it a passion, or was it something that you just saw and wanted to jump on it? How'd that play out for you in the beginning?
No, man, no, it's awesome how God works. So, no, originally, I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go, but specifically how I got into marketing, I started off as just a management consultant. I always was an entrepreneur since young. Right out of college, my original passion when I was like young, middle school, high school, was to be a teacher.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that's what I wanted to do. So I went to school, I graduated college, and I taught. But in my first year of teaching, I quickly realized that sometimes your blessings are given to you and they don't look like how you envision them. Like where I come from, like if you want to be a teacher, then you go to college, you become a teacher, and then you teach in the public school system, and then that's, what you do. And then I quickly realized in my first year of teaching that the way the public school system was set up and the way they manage their teachers and the way they want you to teach the class and the curriculum that they teach and all this so-called structure that they had wasn't aligned with how I wanted to reach the students. And more specifically, I was teaching inner city,
Mm.
and these kids, they needed a certain type of deliverance when it comes to a message. And I just didn't feel like I was super supported in how I wanted to reach the kids in the way that I knew they needed to be reached. So fast forward, after that year of teaching, I went and I started a restaurant with some of my friends from high school, and that's where really the management and entrepreneurship started to kick in. Did that for a few years, and we thought we were going to franchise out. At one point in time, we had three different locations under contract as far as leasing, and we were about to grow it. And then that's when we got into management consulting, and we would go around to businesses and big, entities, state, universities or whatever, and we would just consult. So we'll do software implementation, and we'll do just all kind of services that you can think of from a consulting standpoint. And that's when I really got a taste of the digital marketing. So as a management consultant, my role was kind of to manage and facilitate and coordinate all the different departments as far as, like, say, the web development, the IT back end side. And so when I started managing all these different disciplines, I'm like, this is cool. I love working with people. At heart, I'm a creative. I never really knew that when I was younger, but like at my true core, like I love creating. And so digital marketing allows you to do that. Fast forward to like maybe the last 5 years, I kind of transitioned out of the public sector as far as like state funded, federal funded entities. And I went into the small business, private owned. And I'll never forget, I'll share this quick story with you. One of my first projects was, matter of fact, that gym by the office. So Howard Nader was the owner of that gym at the time. And I donated a video. So I donated a video, we went out there, we shot a video, and I just gave it to them for free because I knew that there were so many gym members at that gym that if they saw the product that they may want something, all the business owners who attend that gym and stuff like that. And when we showed him his project, I'll never forget it to this day. So we showed him his project, it was just me actually, and we were right at his desk, and literally he was like, bro, I got goosebumps. I never thought like my business could look this good. And just his reaction and how fulfilled he felt, I'm like, this is it. Like, this is where I needed to be. Well, prior to when it's state funded money, when it's grant money, and the department heads see a project, it's like, it's not their money. So they're not that vested. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, okay, that project's good, on to the next one, Right. But small business owners, they're so vested because that's their business. That's how they feed their kids and their family. And so, and I'm a very like sentimental dude, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, for my work to be appreciated, it felt good to me, and I knew that's the lane I had to jump in. So yeah, man. So that's how I really got started as far as the digital marketing, and then we just took off, man. Like, we just skyrocketed from there.
Sure. So you realize that what I take from that is, you kind of just did one thing, then you kind of did another thing, and then eventually it led to, okay, this is the thing that I want to do. This is it. I get to pull that creativity out of me. Plus, it's in a booming market where I get to actually serve and help provide people, and that kind of clicked with you.
Yeah, you got it, man. It's always the forward progress, and just the older you get, the more experience you have, and then through those experiences you learn to just fall forward. So
sure,
you may have thought a teaching career for 25, 30 years was the route, but no, like, you evolve, and then you learn, like, okay, my passion is to teach, and because I wasn't exposed to all these different options, I thought I had to teach like this. Well, fast forward to now, I teach small business owners how to grow their business, how to roll out marketing campaigns, how to scale. And it's like, so I'm still doing my passion. It's just the vehicle and how I got there is a little different.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. When you talk about how you decided to start with the gym, with the mindset, knowing that other business owners would be coming, things like that, it kind of gives me a hint that a part of you was thinking about networking. Can you tell me a little bit about the importance of networking and even just how somebody just starting out, I see the approach you took, but I'm sure there's many different approaches people can take, how first of all, how important is networking, and what are some steps that you think people could take to go out and begin networking in their market?
So networking to me is two sides, right? You got the
Mm-hmm.
networking to where it could be like an online brand, or you just reach out to immediate personal contacts,
Mm-hmm.
or networking can be a more interactive physical thing to where you're actually going to meetups, you're actually going to organizations that specialize, whether it's the chambers or whatever. And don't get me wrong, all of it works, right? But it's
Sure.
the most important thing is what aligns with your personality. Me, I'm not the type of person to where I want to be in all these public forums, shaking all these hands and just pretty much like having these conversations, just hoping that eventually it will lead to a business relationship. To me, that don't
Right.
align with my personality. So you won't catch me at these networking events that all these people go to in hopes of gaining business. I have never joined a chamber before. I have never, paid to go hang out with people in hopes of business in that sense. So that's not really my route. However, networking in itself is inevitable. Like you have to do that in order to grow. And so since young, because again, I've been doing this for a long time. So I've been an entrepreneur since like 26 and I'm 41 now. So I understood since young that association is a powerful tool just by association. So I created this thing. That's all about entrepreneurship, right? Because you create your own policies, your own SOPs, standard
Yep.
operational procedures, triple O's, order of operations. So we created everything from scratch. And one of the things I created was called DSs, and those are donatable services. And to
Mm.
me, that's how I built relationships. Because when you're young, you don't have a portfolio, you don't have that much experience. It's like, how are you creating value? And
Right.
so that's what I did. Is like, and it's like networking is who can I go to donate a service, and that person has access to a lot of people. And
Sure.
gyms to me was a no-brainer. He has hundreds of members there. A lot of them are business owners. A lot of them are executives at big organizations. And so even though he was my boy, don't get me wrong, and I wanted to hook him up, it was, if I'm being honest, very strategic as far as, and that's my way of networking. It was someone I knew, and I knew he had access to a lot of people. So that was my form of networking, and it paid off tremendously. That one video that I donated, I mean, essentially, if you wanted to be technical, has snowballed to $1 million company.
Wow. Yeah, you say this, and it honestly, I think I heard it from Jim Rohn. It was, I'm gonna butcher it, but it's he said something along the lines of, you can get all the things that you want, but first you have to help everybody get the things that they want. Help others get what they want in order to get what you want. It always comes back around, but I always try to keep the mindset of give as much as you can without expecting anything in return, and it's almost like it just kind of manifests into your life. It's crazy
Absolutely.
to me it's crazy just the way that the power of serving works. So in our business, I developed an acronym called SPILL, and it's ironic because it's a cleaning business, but for SPILL, it's serve, provide, inspire, lead, and love. And if we
Love
can
it.
if we can focus on those five things, I feel like no matter what fires we have to put out, anything we have to do, as long as we focus on serve, provide, inspire, lead, love, we're always going to be in the right place. And no matter what comes back, we're going to know that we put everything that we could into it. So I love that,
Fire.
man. Yeah, and I could definitely see, I think it's cool that you actually use the gym that you were, helping in the very beginning
Oh yeah,
too.
for sure.
Yeah,
That was part of it. Matter of fact, he hooked us up, like all the team members. That was like kind of like the thing, right? So we
sure.
would run the marketing for that gym. In exchange, we would barter, and then all our team members got to get a free membership. So I'm creating value for the team because, like, look, you work here, you get a free membership. Your health is important. Da 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 da. And so it was a win-win. And then that gym didn't have to pay for marketing. So yeah, it was a great strategic partnership.
Sure. So you said that you started at 26 in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, about that. So I graduated college at 24. I
Okay.
taught when I was 25. It probably took, yeah, so yeah, about 26, man, is when I started. You know,
So
my very to be technical before the restaurant. This is important to have on the record because I know you're recording this. My very first business I ever started, like legit legally, was Swisher pressure washing,
no
and
way.
yeah, it was a
Oh
pressure washing,
man.
and I'm proud to say that that company had absolutely zero revenue, but it was this. So I'm a big advocate of just going right, just moving forward,
Just doing
and
it.
so there was something about the momentum that was obtained as far as going down to City Hall, filing for a business license, paying for a business license, creating a name, and I would just door knock. Like I would door knock, I would pass out flyers in parking lots, you know, like pressure wash your fence house or whatever.
Yep.
And I literally got not one customer. And it's a pretty cool story because I think there's a lot of people who would have just quit and went and just got a job.
Yep.
And while I was doing the pressure washer thing, me and my business partner were building out the concept for the restaurant. And so nothing came from the pressure washing thing. We finally opened up our restaurant, and we did that solid for like three years or something like that.
Wow. So that's crazy to hear you say that, because when I think of when we first started door knocking, just that first person that let us walk in just to look at their home, we felt like we were on. We never got that person, but just the thought of, wow, we're inside of somebody's home looking at it, not knowing what the heck we're doing, but
Right.
just doing it, just moving forward like you said. So
Yeah,
with
it takes a certain type of person to do that. Not everyone's built to do that. You know, like we have a currently right now we have a six-figure vertical in just the home security space alone,
wow.
and that's what they do. Like they door knock, and it's grueling, man. Like rejection is a real thing, and people talking down, and so to have that fortitude and that determination to just keep going is huge. Like you give me any door knocker who has that in their experience, and I can turn them into an entrepreneur that could they'll be so successful.
Well, they have the grit, and that's what you need,
Right.
So with that being said, I mean, of course it takes a certain, I don't want to say that entrepreneurship is something that you're born with. I think it's something that you can grow into. I think it's a lot easier if you are born with some of the traits, being extroverted, things like that. But with that being said, and with you being an entrepreneur now for, at least the last 15 years, how would you define, whether it's personal or professional success? How would you define that for yourself? And how would you say that, somebody who maybe isn't used to succeeding often, maybe they're used to just constant failure or struggle, how would you say that they can start to notice the signs that they're on the road to finding some type of personal or professional success?
Well, the very first immediate thing I would say to that person who you mentioned, is failing is like you have to shift your mindset to understand that failing in itself is progress. Like people don't understand that. So it's like you got to ask yourself, like, if I'm not failing frequently, then that means I'm not putting myself out there. And you would
Right.
never, be able to attain anything if you're not putting yourself out there. So first thing I would recommend is shift your mindset to like stop associating failing with something bad because it's not. It's not at all. So backtracking to your question, I just want to make sure that I understood you. You said the difference between personal and professional. How do you know? Like, what was your original question?
So I guess, I'll kind of give you a little bit of a context behind the question. So for me,
Okay.
um, I kind of take my life and I place it in different categories, right? So, being a father, being a husband, being a good son, good brother, to me, those are all, and even just a good person in general, and what I'm doing for the internal, Dylan, and also the external, when it comes to physical health, things like that. Those are all things I define as personal success, right? Actually, if we all boil it down to one thing, it's how happy am I truly, and how happy am I making the ones around me. That's personal success for me. Then there's also another category for me, which is professional success. When it comes to financial stability, Am I seeing, growth, whether I'm in a 9 to 5? Am I moving along the ranks? Are the other employees around me happy? Or if I'm in a business, watching KPIs, am I growing it? Are we doing better than we did last month or 6 months ago? So I guess for me, I try to follow certain KPIs that I set out for myself, but I just wanted to maybe hear from you kind of how you define it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so with that said, you learn real quick that the bleed over is almost like a seamless transition. Like, so personal success and business success, they intertwine,
Okay.
and it's almost impossible to have one without the other. So, like there's so many people who could crush it like financially, right? But
Right.
yet they're miserable at home. They have bad relationships with the people around them. And, you got to ask yourself, is that really being successful? So, that saying like how you do one thing is how you do everything. Like I'm a firm believer in that. So it's like, in my opinion, you have to go from the inside out. So all those things you mentioned, like making sure like you're fulfilled and you're happy, you're in a lane where you're doing things that you enjoy to do. If you're personally happy and content, that's going to bleed over into your business,
Sure.
And so that's my approach. Like it has to, because at the end of the day, businesses come and go, money comes and go. Like if your happiness is contingent on your current status of your business, you're never going to be happy. Like how can you find happiness and contentment exactly where you're at?
Right.
So, that's why we do our morning, gratitude sessions and meditations and all that, because what it does is it really grounds you and it reinforces the fact that if you're solid, if you're content, if you're happy and you're living this joyful life, everything else is going to fall into place, more specifically your business.
Sure. Absolutely. And just to go back a little bit on what you said about failure, I mean, to me it seems like you can't succeed without failure. Failure is a part of success, and
The foundation of
it's the
success.
it's the foundation, exactly. And it's crazy because that was actually my next question for you, which was, how does failure play a role in success? And that's perfect with it being foundational. Do you ever find yourself being scared of failure, or just something, that feeling in your gut where you just feel like, shit, like, what do I do now?
Yeah, I mean, I would be lying if I said there wasn't a little apprehension behind business decisions. Like when you start getting up there, you're talking about, $320,000 transactions being stroke of a pen and like bam, and it's like that. Yeah, there's a little fear, apprehension, but I think like with anything, the more experience you have, the more confident you are. Like I'm sure a running back in the NFL when he's in Pee Wee League may be a little scared to get tackled by a linebacker. But fast forward to when he's in the NFL, it's just part of it. Like you're gonna get hit, it's gonna hurt, but it's just you're more focused on the upside. So it's like wherever you put your attention, that's what's going to manifest. You know what I'm saying? So are you focused on the fear, or are you really focused on the wins and the successes and all of that? So my approach is be aware of the fear. Be aware of the fear. One of my spiritual mentors, she has this saying, face your fear, find your freedom. And
Mm,
it's so solid, bro. Like she's a mastermind, by the way, but like it's so solid. And if you really think about that, so many people they run from their fear or they deny their fear, but like you just face it, and then you'll literally find your freedom because you're aware of it, and then you can then pivot and focus on all the wins, all the upside, if you were to move forward with the thing that you may have feared in the past.
sure. Yeah. So you said face your fear, find your freedom. So
Oh yeah.
basically, stand in front of that bear that's just looking down on you, and whoever you have to
And
be.
not
What?
only stand there, and then not only stand, can you hear, what they say about beer? Like, don't even stand there, but stand there, lean forward, and make yourself present. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey,
make yourself big. Like, just face it.
yeah,
Like lean forward
yeah,
and just face it. And that's what I do because everything is temporary. Like pain, failure, like all like time is just going to keep going. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So it's really just shifting your focus on like so many people like picture a big old pie, right? Here's this big old pie. we so often let the smallest sliver dictate our decisions, dictate how we navigate and how we move. Like, why do we do that? There's so much, there's so much abundance, there's so much upside to this world that you can have. And it's like, just focus on that and not the small things that may keep you back, AKA fear.
Sure. Yeah, I think Kobe said, somebody asked him about, does he get scared when he goes to shoot that game-winning shot, and he said, you have to break it down. Okay, so if I miss it, now what? The fans, they talk trash about me. Maybe my teammates are upset. All right, so then what's next? They talk bad about me in all the sports papers and TV shows. Okay, then what's next? All right, then I kind of feel upset when I turn on the TV. Okay, so really, is it that bad to take that last shot and miss that game-winning shot? So it's kind of breaking that fear down and realizing that it's 2 steps back, 3 steps forward.
Love it. Yep.
That's what I try to take away from it when I hear people like you, who I hear you say in the home security space, you're doing a vertical 6 figures, and I know that that's not the only space you're in. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
So when I hear somebody like you talk about, facing the fear, but not just facing it, standing over the fear, and knowing that you started off, where you say you wanted to be a teacher and you were just teaching in the inner city crowd, and you move forward, it's just, to me, it's just really, really awesome to hear. So with that being said, with fear creeping in, can you just tell me a little bit about imposter syndrome, and if that's something that you ever have felt in the past, if it's something you feel now, and maybe some ways that you feel like you can get over it? Because I'll be completely honest with you, man. Even doing this podcast, the imposter syndrome, it just keeps creeping in all the time. I'm setting up in my living room, trying to make it look. I mean, this is how it always is in the back, but just trying to feel like I'm doing something, but at the end of the day, not really knowing what I'm doing. What kind of advice can you give to somebody like me who is just completely clueless on what they're doing, but they feel so driven to do it, but at the same time, I'll be honest with you, man, in this last month of just learning, there's been so many thoughts that have come in where it's like, dude, you're a faker, just quit. This is not who you are. But I truly know that, I have a voice that needs to be heard, and I have things to say. And I also know that I'm, in my mind, one of the best in the world in finding people who also have things to say that other people can benefit from. And so it's that constant battle of you're an imposter, you're a faker. No, you really need to do this. What kind of advice can you give to somebody like me in that situation?
First off, what a great question. What a great question, because especially in the age of like online and like you see it out there, man. There's so much like fakery going on. Like you see it. So yes, have I experienced that like in my younger days? Absolutely. And even fast forward to now, like Dylan, you gotta understand, my mind is still blown. Like I could be playing with my daughter, and then I get a notification. It's like, oh yeah, you just got a payment, $3,500, and I'm just like, it's almost like it's not real. So sometimes it does feel like, it's fake. But anyways, more specifically to your imposter syndrome, yes. When I was younger and I was first starting golf, it's like, and I come from a background, you gotta understand, to where it's like I come from like nobody in my family. I'm talking about like, I think my whole family line, I'm talking about cousins, uncles, aunties, like everybody on both sides of the family. There may be like 2 people who actually got like a 4-year degree, you know what I'm saying? Maybe 3 or something like that. And it's like, so it's like, I come from a background to where, that term like fake it till you make it.
Yep.
And so that's all I ever known. But fast forward to now, if I ever had to give advice to any young entrepreneur, that's the worst advice ever, bro. Like, fake it till you make it is the worst thing you can ever do. It's like, go out, do the work, learn it, and just really do it. Just really do it. And so what I would say is the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur when you're the owner, it's what you say is the truth. You know what I'm saying? So God, the way he created us, like we're allowed to go co-create with him, right? So it's like, you're Dylan, you own this, this nice growing cleaning company. And it's like, if you tell your team members, look, we are this, and this is what it is, then that's what it is. Like, you're the owner. If that is one of your, SOPs, and that is the procedure, or if that is your model, then that's what it is. And I had to learn that. So as a business owner, you dictate the truth, And so you got to leverage that. You got to leverage that power. Like, and smart business people, they know if you're 100% authentic or not. So a wise businessman or woman, they rather see a young person say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to go get that answer and I'll be right back. They respect that so much more than you just throw out some number and it's not accurate. Like, I had to learn the hard way. I've done that before. I've been in situations where I'm looking a multi-millionaire in the eyes and they're asking me specific questions about my numbers. I'm just like, and I just throw something out there and I can tell by their reaction, like, okay, dude, like, you're so full of it. And that's the worst feeling. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, keeping it real 100% of the time will always play out better than just faking it. So to answer your question in the recap, have I felt imposter syndrome? Yes, especially when I was younger. And then through experience, I just learned that just be your authentic self. Like, I still get tripped up about being online. Like, this podcast alone, like, this is not something I typically do. Like, if you check out all my social media platforms and this and that, like, I'm rarely online doing all that, because that the whole fear thing kicks in, like fear of being judged by others and like all these other components kick in. And it's just like, nah, man, like, this is who I am. Like, this is what I do. And it's like, and it's just a matter of owning it. So yeah, I experienced that in the past, not so much now, because I think I'm just so established. I'm just like, hey, here I am. This is what it is. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that about you, man. Cause you were just like, let's do it right when I reached out to you. But I also do know, obviously I wanted to, look a little bit more into you personally before, and there's literally nothing at all.
Right.
So, and that's,
at one point in time, a fun fact, when I first started off, I deliberately went so many years, because, of course I know I'm very fluent in SEO and all that. And it's like, for so many years, I deliberately grew this brand without my name being associated with it one bit. Yeah. And fast forward to now, like, I'm just like CJ and I were working on this last weekend, but I'm just now at a point in my career where, as a matter of fact, I said this one day in casual conversation, and then I reflect, I'm like, whoa, that could literally be a quote, but it's like, my will to win is stronger than my insecurities. And I know the power of creating content and just sharing your message is just so powerful that it will help you win. And then, to be honest with you, Dylan, it actually got to the point where there was just so much knowledge and so much experience that I had that I knew would help people, that it almost got to the point where I started to feel selfish. Like, my insecurities literally made me selfish because I wasn't sharing that with other people. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm over that, man. Like, I'm tired of living like that. It's a real, like, lack mentality. I used to have this mentality to where if I shared with other people everything that I know, that they would go, they would blow up, they would take my customers, and then, like, I would be like, oh my goodness, why did I tell them my secret sauce? That's such a lack mentality. Like, This world is so abundant. There's so much for everyone to do well. In fact, when you start giving it away, when you start helping others, watch what happens. You'll even grow even more.
Absolutely, man. I was just gonna say, I mean, the flow of everything is infinite. It's never ending. And once I realized that actually that thought alone is what made me, because when I thought about doing the podcast, it was more of like, oh, well, there's millions of podcasts already out there. Like, there's people already saying the same things that I'm thinking and I want to talk about, but who says that I can't be another voice, that maybe somebody who wouldn't hear it from somebody else may just happen to pick up this one and listen to this conversation and get something out of this that can help save their life, and
you hit it right on the head. So I talk about that all the time to, our partners and our customers all over the country. Is like, a lot of times they're a little hesitant because they're like, oh, there's all this other, HVAC companies or all these other realtors. It's like, look, the world is so huge. And now with technology and the internet, like you have this huge pot. If you are just your authentic self and you just put your message out there, this slice of that pie is going to resonate with you. You know, there's going to be someone, and then you got to really identify your North Star. Like, why are you really doing what you do? And if it's really to create value and if it's really to help someone, then you should be willing to do it, even if it's just one person or two people or three people. So not everyone is going to identify like with me and the way I deliver my message and the way I am. That's okay. But like you, the way you say it or the way you present it or like your vantage point, they may resonate with that. So sure. Everyone has a voice. Everyone, if they were to convey their voice in a very authentic way, is going to have someone on the receiving end resonate with that message. So that's how you got to look at it, man. No, like we say, no playing defense. Like don't, everybody's like, well, I don't want to do this because of this, or I don't want no playing defense. Just go, fall forward, take the first step, and like that's everything, you know?
Offense only, baby. I know.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you say, I talk a lot about, you know, being your true authentic self. You know, this is something that I don't know if it's like a turning 30 years old kind of thing where it's like all of a sudden you want to really start understanding yourself more. I feel like this is something that I've been really focused on over the last like year or two, just more so dealing with things from inside out. And I feel like by doing that, my true authentic side is expressed more. How were you able to find that for yourself? You know, I feel like this is something that a lot of people battle because I don't know if it's because we live in an age of technology. I don't know if it's because we're more focused on what other people think of us or what it is. But for me, you know, I think that because I'm a natural introvert, and I've gone through a lot of different traumas in my life that kind of made me a little bit more quiet as I went on about my life. It was more of me just being closed in on myself and not being able to actually express my authenticness, I guess you would say, if that's a word. But, you know, how are you able to find that? And since I know that you are a mentor to so many different people, how have you seen that other people were able to find that for themselves, or whether they're finding it now and that you see them actually working on it?
Bro, you literally have to do the work. Like you have to do the work. Like it's like anything, man. It's like you have to condition yourself. You know, you look at the best organizations in the world, whether it's the Super Bowl champs or the U.S. military, athletes condition themselves to be top shape. You know, military people do drills that are like, you have to do that internally. So you'd be surprised. It sounds easy, right? Like, oh, this is who I am. Yeah, but we're so conditioned, man. Like we're so conditioned. Like especially where I come from. Like I'm super proud to be. I'm from a small town, back roads of Palm Bay, and it's like growing up there. I feel like we're conditioned to be a certain way. Like whether it's you know you got to be tough and you got to be this. And there's so many people who are younger who are like, yeah, this is who I am and this is what I do. But in actuality, no, man, we know you, like deep down inside, you like doing this. Like right. If you really are honest with yourself, you really enjoy this type of music or this that's, may not be deemed as cool or whatever. And it's like, so it's like, you got to do the work, peel back all the layers. And at the end of the day, it's like, you can't care what other people think about it. That's really what all it is. Like, it's the fear thing, right? People have been conditioned for so long to be a certain way, and to break out of that, they have fear because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be, looked down on. So it's like when you get to a point to where you're content with yourself, then that's when you can really tap into identifying who you really are, and then you can just live, accordingly. Like I said, like I got to the point where I understood the importance of investing in self-development. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a part of this program. It's called Soul Support. Like, so the same way, a kid will go to college to receive education, to sharpen their mind so they can go get a better job. Like, we have to do that internally. And so, the being authentic thing is something you have to put in work. And so I trained in that department. And so I went and I got mentorship. I got people who have experience in this type of work and associate it with them so that way I can learn and improve. So that's what I did, man. And I would encourage anyone else to take that same journey. Like, it's so much deeper than just working out and making money. It's like, are you content internally? You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? That's just a huge component of my happiness.
Absolutely. So what do you think that are some ways that we could actually get the younger generation to catch on to that wave? I feel like there's, man, it's so hard
By
to,
making
to
it cool, you gotta
it,
make it cool.
yeah, I
Younger
mean,
people always want to do what's cool, and it takes leadership. Like, so that's another reason why, like, I just want to share in my own little slice, my own little lane, because it's like it takes leadership. Like, if all these super popular celebrities online were to talk about this and promote this instead of, agendas that make them more money, I think that would have such a huge impact. And don't get me wrong, there's great leaders in every community who are talking this and are about this, but like, we have to make it cool. Like, in my opinion, like, it's cool to be happy. It's cool to make money in a very ethical way. Like, it's cool to just walk around and be light
yeah,
and not be stressed out right before you go to bed. Like, to me, all that's cool. So how can we, convey that to the younger people and be like, man, I'm telling you, like, this is the jam. Like, this is how you need to, like, live life if you want to be content. And,
sure.
and be honest with you, Dylan, you end up making more money. Like, I know a big part of what you do is about business and this and that, but like, when you're content and when you're happy and you're living a aligned life, everything blossoms, and that's financially too.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. I think that being an entrepreneur and starting a business has actually enhanced and sped up the search for just true happiness, honestly. And what I came to find is the fact that I was even searching for happiness meant that I wasn't giving myself the ability to be happy. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so, my brother and I were 13 years apart. So I'm turning 30 and he just turned or I think he just turned 17, right? And so there's a huge age difference, a huge generational gap. And so the problems that I find myself having is caring and seeing him and his friends and caring so much about him. We come from the same bloodline. We come from the same mother. He experiences the same problems with certain family members that I experienced when I was his age. And so what I end up seeing is somebody like my brother, who is an amazing kid, right? Not a bad kid at all, like what is good and bad, right? But really, like, he's a very solid dude. But he just keeps riding the wave of focusing everything external and not looking inward at all. And now that I've kind of hit that point, I almost feel like it's getting to the point to where I'm forcing it on people like him, and like you just said, it's not cool. And so what I've tried to push him to do is he's a avid gamer, man. He loves video games. So I've even tried pushing him, hey man, go start like a Twitch account, go start streaming or something. You know what I mean? Go do something, because what you'll notice is just by doing something that you love and that you're passionate about, but it's also going to turn more into a revenue, a business that's going to bring in revenue. It'll help him in a way kind of find that development or develop that passion and that inner drive to kind of speed up the search. So I feel like for me, maybe I'm either pushing it too much or what, but I do think that the entrepreneurship style, which is the reason why I do kind of promote the whole entrepreneur, never the lifestyle that you see on TV or not on TV, but on, Facebook and Instagram and stuff, not that style, but more of like what it takes to drive you to be an entrepreneur, because I feel like with that, it definitely can help speed up more of your personal side, more of your personal life, and help you look more inward and able to see more results, I guess, on the outside.
Yeah.
So
Like we talked about before, man, it goes hand in hand. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So I
absolutely.
think that has over time become one of my deep passions, is helping people turn their passion into their career. Like, to
Mhm.
me, like, what a blissful life, right? So if you absolutely love to teach kids, hang out with kids, and develop kids, if you can do that full time as a career, then isn't that like the ultimate goal? If you're a mechanic and like say you're a mechanic, no, say you work at Publix, right?
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do. But you can't wait to clock out of Publix to go to that old Ford so you can fix it up. And you know that's your passion, but you just don't know how to monetize it. Like that is literally a passion of mine, is helping people take their passion and monetizing that. So that way you can just do what you love all day.
Absolutely. What? So
If
you
your
meant
brother can play video games for 8 hours a day and make six figures,
that's
wouldn't he just be the happiest dude in the world?
that's what I was trying to tell him, man. I'm just like, dude, you have no, and I think it's because it hit me so heavy when I got out of the military and I went through a bunch of struggles and then eventually entrepreneurship kind of just landed in my lap. And from there, it just sped up. And that's what I'm trying to tell him is like, dude, like I love what I'm doing. I don't have a boss. Like we created this out of thin air and we love it. And even during the really, really hard times, which feels like all the time, not gonna lie, it's still fun. It's still fun because I know that what we're doing is we're cultivating something that's our own and we're growing it. And it honestly, like we just raised our prices recently and we've already had many clients drop us, but we know that what we're doing is something that we love to do and we're having fun with it. And once you detach yourself from the fires that have to be put out on a daily basis, once you detach yourself from training a staff member for 2 weeks to a month and then them quitting, after you just spent a month of your life training them and that happening repetitively, trying to figure out the systems and processes, it's still something we enjoy to do, and that's why I was trying to explain to him. It's like, if you just have that one thing that you love to do, then maybe you'll be able to move on past these other issues that you're finding in your life. And so for me, I don't know, it's just something I'm super passionate about. So that's another reason for the podcast, man, honestly. So I know that you did mention, being a dad, and you mentioned the love that you have, and also with everything that you get to do, you can look at your kids and know that what you're doing is something that you're very passionate about. How was, I think you have one daughter or
Correct.
one daughter? How was having your daughter? How did that just, I don't really know how to phrase the question the best way because I'm a dad myself and it's a loaded question, but how has that impacted you in your life personally? I guess more so professionally and just the way that you kind of view the world.
Rocket fuel, bro.
Yeah.
Literally rocket fuel, because what it does is it gives you a newfound sense of motivation. It's bigger than myself. Like at the end of the day, if I had to thug it out and eat tuna cans and ramen noodles and all, like I can do it. I did it.
Yeah.
I lived off change in a dish that, like I lived off change before. So it was like, I know I'm going to be good regardless, bro. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a little one who looks up to you and is relying on you, then it just serves as a different form of, motivation. Like, you only know what you know, right? And so I never grew up with this, long line of education on how to invest and how to take your money and make it grow and this and that. And so now you fast forward to now that I have a kid, like I put myself in situations to where I can learn that, because it's not about me. You know what
Sure.
I'm saying? It's like, what is she going to have? What am I doing to help her? So that way her road to success and her road to happiness is more seamless than what mine are. Like my parents, I love my parents, and me and my dad, we have these talks all the time. And, sometimes he may mention like, man, like, if I was to teach you this, then da da da. I'm like, Dad, you can't look at it like that, because who taught you?
Sure.
Like my dad grew up in a place to where, you know what I'm saying, like, yeah, like credit scores and interest rate and all like that kind of stuff is not discussed. You know what I'm saying? And so how is he supposed to be informed enough to teach his kids that? And so he didn't. But what he did do is he showed what work ethic looks like. He showed what it's like to where if you're consistent and if you grind, you will be good. And now it's my responsibility to take some of those key principles as far as work ethic, consistency and all that, and compound on that and teaching my daughter other layers that's going to help her. And that's what it's all about. And then God willing, when she has kids, she teaches them all the layers that I didn't show her because I was limited, because I only know what I know. You know what I'm saying? So
Sure.
To answer your question, Dylan, when you have a kid, it serves as the highest form of motivation, because then it's so much bigger than just yourself. Like, I have to perform. I have to go out there and crush it, because I know that's how she's going to have that road paved for her.
Sure. What are maybe one or two of those extra layers that you weren't taught that you want to teach on to your child?
Oh my goodness. So just business in general, taking risk. Like, everybody on both sides of the family they're very 9 to 5 oriented. And again, like, I want to be very clear, Dylan, like, if you work a 9 to 5 and if you are super happy, you're winning. It's that simple. You know
True.
what I'm saying? It's when you're at a 9 to 5 and you're complaining and you're not happy, then I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, what are you doing about it? You know what I'm saying? And deep down inside, I think if everyone was 100% honest, they'd rather be doing what they absolutely love. Like, there's so many doctors and lawyers right now, especially like if you come from like a immigrant family or whatever, there's so many doctors and lawyers out there to where they never wanted to do that, but they just did it to please their parents and they felt like they had to live up to expectations. But there's so many doctors and lawyers who rather just be an artist, who rather just be a musician.
Yeah.
Like,
not making any money.
Like,
not
making
it's
the happiness level. Yeah, it's the happiness level. So like, that's what I want to teach my daughter is like, your happiness is everything, and how can you develop certain type of decision-making skills that's going to put you in a situation to where you're happy. Sure. And then what I just found is like, when you're financially sound, then sometimes you have a little more freedom to really tap into, like, you got to be practical, right? Like, if you love playing drums on the public street and like say that's your passion, but yet the change that you scrounge up from all the donators only gives you, $1,000 a month, then you have to be practical. Like, how am I going to survive, right? So if there's a way that you are educated enough and know how to manage money, grow your money, and financially be set, it will create some more freedom for you to really dig into your passion if your passion is not your full-time job. So those are the layers I want to contribute to my daughter. Like, she already has this little platform to where it's taking the taboo off of talking about money. So many households, they don't talk about money with their children because it's almost like this cliche thing, or maybe the parents just don't even know about it. Like, Megan and I, and her mom as well, because her mom's an entrepreneur, like, we talk about money and earning money like you talk about playing toys, because I like keeping it very simple. I like to have the analogy of business and money and all that, like the tribe days, right? Back in the days when you lived in a tribe, right? Hunters would go out with their cousins, uncles, grandfathers, other village people, and then the actual pursuit of the hunt was the fellowship. That was the synergy. That was the working together and having fun and all that. And then when you come back to the camp with your kill, you know what I'm saying? You would tell stories about the hunt. You would talk about the hunt. You would share with other village people, oh, this type of arrow works good because when it goes in that deer, it stays. Like, so everything, there was no time to waste. Like, every single thing, the lifestyle was based upon, like, you see, artifacts and tombs where they drew, their hunting activities. Like, everything was about that. So fast forward to the modern world, that's how we eat, bro. Like, business and money is how we eat. Like, food, shelter, that's like, what's more important than that, right? So it's like, I want to have comfortable conversations about money, about financial literacy, about all those things the same way you would talk about, hey man, I'm hungry. Do you want to go grab a bite to eat? You
I
know,
love
and
it.
I do that with my daughter from a young age. She knows, like every receipt when we go out to eat, she looks at every receipt. She knows, like she's always asking questions like, how much does that cost? Like, what is it? And it's like, I ain't gonna lie, like I love that. I see some other adults, they'll look at us and be like, why is that 9-year-old like? It's like, dude, like she
Gotta
wants
teach.
to know,
Yeah.
like you trying to tell me back in the tribe days, a little kid wasn't like, do we have 2 fish or 5 fish left? You know, like I was like yeah, bro, like so money's important, man. Like
Yeah.
we gotta take that
Absolutely.
away from it. So
Absolutely.
those are the layers. Those are the layers I'm trying to pass down. You know, like Jessica and I, like that's what we're trying to do for our daughter is just educate her, man. Education is everything, bro. How many people graduate high school and they have no idea what interest rates are? They have
Sure.
no idea how to get a loan. They have no idea the importance of having good credit. Like being poor is expensive, bro.
Yeah.
Like being
Yeah.
poor is so expensive,
And
man.
it takes
Like
the same amount of work. It takes the same amount of work
yeah.
to be poor. So
And
it's
dude,
just
no, I respectfully disagree with you because I think it takes more work. It takes
mm,
more work to be poor. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like when you go get a car and you have bad credit and you don't have money, it's expensive to get a car. Like you,
yes.
dude, I drive off a lot, brand new 20, you know, a brand new whip, 0 miles. I drive off a lot. I don't have to put nothing down. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? If that's the case, because it's like I now know the power of credit and the power of just financially, you know, being stable. So I'm just blessed, man. And even though my parents weren't in a position to teach me that because they didn't even know, I'm very fortunate to have people in my life who I can associate with where I was able to like receive, you know, that type of knowledge, you know.
Sure. Absolutely. I love it, man. I just have one more question for you, and then we'll be wrapping up. This is a
Okay.
question. This is a question that I'm actually gonna be probably asking everybody that comes on to the show. Um, I guess there's only one way to ask, and that's just to ask. So, if time and money were neither a factor for you at this moment, right now, what are 1 or 2 things that you think you not think that you know you would love to do if time and money was not a factor at all?
You know, this is a really good question because as I'm thinking of my answer, I'm like, well, what's stopping you anyways? Because you can
Sure.
literally do it right now. But if time and money wasn't a factor, I think I would love to spend all day having conversations like this, man. Like
Yeah.
straight up. Like, I love the agency. I love what I do. And I heard you mention like, yeah, you know, I don't have a boss and da da da. Like in entrepreneurship, you'll kind of learn that, you know, I almost feel like I got like 40 to 50 bosses right now. You
You
know what I'm
know,
saying?
yeah.
Because every one of my customers, when they call me, I kind of feel obligated to answer that call to service them. You know, especially like if you got somebody paying you, if you got one business owner paying you over $100,000 a year, there's a certain type of obligation that you feel to like, man, I got to answer this. And that just comes with the job. And I do it. I'm happy. I'm very fortunate I get to do it, you know, in flip flops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm very content. I'm happy. But if I'm being honest, if I can just have conversations like these, and if I can truly get into my passion of education and empowering people, making them feel amazing, like I want to help people feel amazing. And I think the best approach to feeling amazing is when you're mentally, physically, and spiritually sound. And when I
Mm,
say mentally, one of the biggest mental components is having peace of mind. And that's when the financial piece comes in, man. Like we all know, like you do all the research. Like financial struggles is one of the main reasons for so much stress with individuals in today's age. You know what I'm saying? So having
absolutely.
peace of mind, physically being healthy, and spiritually being aligned, like I would love to just have conversations to help people in those 3 components of life. And I would love to do that all day, every day. So instead of working and grinding and doing this and servicing, hitting quotas, making sure ROIs are there and metrics and this and that, you take all the financial KPIs and SOP, you take all that out the window, and how do you have everyday conversations like this to motivate people to take their own steps towards their journey to physically, mentally, spiritually be more sound? I think that's my lane.
Hey man, you should go do it.
I am, bro.
You
I
should do
am.
it.
And and thank you for having me on this podcast, because just hearing that out loud and putting that out into the universe, it just reinforces that that's my calling. And again, like, essentially I do that in the vehicle that I am now, but in this vehicle, there's other things that I have to do as well. And that's okay, because I still get to like check some boxes off as far as that internal passion. But I think as you grow, you become more efficient in things. And so if I can skip all the other business obligations tied with my passion, and if I can just 100% pour into my passion, and that's all I had to do, then I think that's the ultimate goal. And I think what I'm doing is I'm just evolving into that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
if we can triple in size in the next X amount of years, you know, CJ is, you know, he's my right-hand man, and he's at the point where he basically, you know, runs so much of the organization anyways. And digital marketing is his passion. That and music is what he does, right?
And he's a hell of a musician too, which is
he's a beast. He's a beast. Shout out to Via CJ. You know what I'm saying?
I love you,
but
CJ.
Like, yeah, if he takes it over, he runs it, and that frees up time for me to just do what I mentioned, then that's a win-win. But I don't know, bro. I don't know if I can ever let the agency go 100%, because there's something about being creative and helping a family make more money so that way they can provide for their kids, put their kid into college or whatever. There's something about that is fulfilling. So I think I always have some type of association with it. But at the end of the day, mind shift and mindset and being aligned is always going to be more important than making money. In fact, that's going to help you make more money. So that's like stripping away all the layers and going straight to the source. And that's helping people physically, mentally, and spiritually. Like, that's my calling, and that's what I'm going to do for, you know, literally the rest of my life. And the more evolved I get, the more concentrated I can be on it without all the other obligations associated with having to earn an income.
I love it, man. I'm right there with you, honestly. Well, I just want to say...
How about you, bro? I got to ask you, if time and money wasn't an issue, what would it be? What would you do? What?
So honestly, man, I this is going to sound super cliche, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. Like,
you want to train people on how to clean houses?
So here's the thing is with the cleaning business, and this is just me being fully honest with you about the cleaning business. My role in the cleaning business is so really it's my wife's cleaning business. It's really Monica's business. I decided we both decided that just with the way that my mind works, with how I am with, you know, customers, with how I am I'm just very passionate and very like once I have my mind set on something, I just go. You know what I mean? And there's nothing that can stop me. Even if I fall 1,000 times, I'm going to get back up 1,001, you know? And so, and she recognizes that in me, and she recognized that in me. And so we, you know, I stepped in, we were doing all the door knocking in the beginning and everything. We were, you know, I was helping her do a cleaning here and there, but she was primarily doing everything mostly on her own for the first 6 months to a year. That's when I stepped in, and we took it from being, I think, like 1,000 or 2,000 of revenue to a 6-figure business within just like a year and a half, right? And so for me, that's what I have fun doing. I have fun growing businesses. I have fun. The next step for me is, you know, and that's what I'm using the podcast for, is another vehicle, because I do love to inspire. I love to teach. So I think the next step for me is to, what we're slowly doing is the same way that you say you feel obligated to answer that phone call when somebody who's paying you $100,000 a year, you know, calls you, and you might be in flip flops, but honestly, what we are trying to do, and what I'm more so focusing on while she's handling the the ins and outs of the business. What I'm more so focusing on is the systems and the processes of pulling ourselves to be more of, how would you say it? I mean, I guess not really in the business, but, you know, kind of overseeing maybe a couple, you know, doing a meeting or a couple meetings a week, making sure that we're more so focusing on keeping the culture alive instead of, you know, answering the phone calls and doing things like that. Right. But truly for me, what my passion is, man, and I'll be completely honest with you, I have experienced so much stuff in my life that I feel like it's brought me to a point now that I truly like when you hear me talk about my brother and you hear me talk about this next generation stepping up, I was even talking to Monica about it, asking her, how can I reach them? How can I get to them? Because I want them to learn the things and to just get something out of at least a little bit of the things that has been brought into my life within the last 3 to 4, I guess now almost 5 years, but more so internally realizing that it starts with the internal game before you can actually see results in the external game. And so for me, when I say I'm doing it, like when I have this microphone in front of me and I'm talking to people like you, this is more so for me to learn for myself so that I can take this and pass it along in a better way, in a easier to understand way, but also this right here, you know, with this getting uploaded, with this, you know, being put out into the world, I have my best friend Patrick, he's pretty much my brother. I tell him all the time, anything that you have to say, anything that drives you, you need to get it out there. It needs to be out there. And we live in a world where it's so easy to get these things out there, because I'm telling you, for me, if one person can hear this and it gives them something, just even if they listen to this hour-long conversation, it gives them one thing out of it that helps them make a change, that changes their life for the better, helps them find who they desire to be, helps them get a little bit, you know, stronger in the financial game, it helps them in any way. That's what I truly care about. And, you know, even when I tell you I feel like an imposter with this whole podcast thing, you know, I know that I'll get over that. I know that, you know, things will get easier and stuff like that, but the drive will always stay the same for me. You know what I mean? And the reason why I was so quick to jump on doing this is because for me, I feel very driven. And if I can, I know it sounds so cliche, if I could help one person in the world, but truly that's how I feel. You know, if one person in the world can hear my voice and it helps them in any kind of way, then I'm done. I'm not done, but I'm satisfied. But then from there, for me, it just, I want it to be in scale, honestly. So for me, the whole point is for me to learn and grow and to try to bring others with me to learn and grow with me. And if I'm doing that, man, I am one happy dude. So that's it.
Love it, man. I appreciate it. I'm proud of you, bro. Way to take the first step. And just to ease your mind, bro, it's no imposter, because you literally did a podcast. You did it. It's done. And now you can say, this is what I do, and it's the truth. So, yeah, bro. Like, I appreciate it, man. And bro, you got to understand, it means a lot to me that you even asked me to be on here. I know you know a lot of people, and so I never really, I guess I don't look at myself, and maybe that's something I should work on, that I'm saying out loud, but I don't really look at myself as like a go-to, you know, person when it comes to a lot of things. And I think that's because I work with so many huge, big, powerful people. But in essence, it's all relative, right? Like, there's going to be some people who see me where I come from, and they're like, man, Cam, you're doing it. And so it's like we have to step into our powers. And today you did that, man. So I'm proud of you, bro. So hats off to you, man.
Well, thank you, man. Honestly, believe it or not, you can say that those people are big, huge, powerful people. But to me, man, that 1 week that I spent with IMG and watching the way that you operate and watching the way that you lead and just the morning routines and everything that, you know, watching how much everybody respected you. And I'll be honest with you, man, I remember on my first day I came in, I had a bunch of different ideas and things like that. And you said, go up front and present them to the team. And that's what I did. And truthfully, man, that was one of the first times I ever did that. like stepped up in front of a team to present, especially on my first day and nobody knows me. So just seeing the way that you operate and seeing the way that, I could sit down with you and have a very authentic and real conversation, and you're going to be real with me. There was no way that I couldn't reach out to you. So please know, man, like, dude, you inspired me a lot more than what and just in that 1 week, believe it or not, man. And I know that I could reach out to you, man, and you would be right there and message me back. So I know that you're just that kind of guy. So thank you, brother. And I just want to let you know that you can come on the podcast anytime. If you want to get your own podcast, I would love to come on yours one day. And I'm going to continue to grow this, man. And I'll definitely be reaching out to you to come back on eventually.
Grow it, bro. Grow it. I do want to come back after you had 50 people and just see your growth and maybe even ask you some questions. So Dylan, do your thing, man. I appreciate your time, bro. And keep crushing it, man. Thanks for having me on.
Cameron Barker, thank you so much. Take care.
Have a good one, man.
Too.
All right, bye.